Hey friend, listen. I know the world is scary right now. Corruption, war, inflation, demographics, degeneracy, disease, unrest, hatred, and despair. We didn't come here to tell you how it is, but that it's going to get way better.
Got a good thing coming, and it's all I need. Everything I wanted, just wait and see.
Better by Bitcoin.
What's up, and welcome to Better by Bitcoin. Today, as we record this, it's July 11th, and it's an all-time high for the price of Bitcoin. It's, I don't even know what the price is, somewhere around between 115 and 120,000. And also, yesterday, the day before, was the first time that the price of Bitcoin has gone over $100,000 in euros. So,
oh, nice. I didn't know that one.
Yep. And today we're going to be telling stories of the all-time high. I think we titled the episode "Stories of Getting High." Well, we've all been
being high.
Being high. Stories of being high, or stories of getting high. I don't know. Never know. I don't know what you guys' stories are. So I guess I can kick it off. Just talking about my journey into Bitcoin. I'm joined by Bondor and JD, Gilded Pleb, and Cypherpunk Cinema.
Cypherpunk Cine, yes.
Cypherpunk Cine.
That's the handle. I'm in the car. I apologize for the terrible framing and everything, but hopefully the audio is...
The audio is way better than last episode.
Oh, so good. Solid. Solid. I'm currently looking at a Mercedes that looks like it did not have a good time meeting a big rig. Well, that's unfortunate, but it looks like nobody got hurt, so that's fine. Anyways, continue. Sorry.
That's all good. Yeah, so all of our stories are a little different of how we got into Bitcoin, when we got into Bitcoin. I know Bondor got in as far as when he actually started acquiring Bitcoin, started interacting with exchanging fiat bucks for Bitcoin way earlier than me, years earlier than me. I was looking the other day.
I think we're actually in at the same time, for real.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I first was into Bitcoin probably 2012, 2013. It was I was watching a lot of Max Kaiser, and I was just looking the other day. I had a Facebook post about Bitcoin in 2013, and multiple times I told other people that Bitcoin was the future, and still I didn't buy any for years because I just didn't know how to acquire it. I was listening to this podcast called I think it's called Coinsider This podcast. This comedian put it together, and that was in 2014. And he would always say, "Just get some Bitcoin, just get some Bitcoin." And at the time, you only had a few options. First, it was Mt. Gox, and that ended up failing. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't get in, because maybe I would have stayed out had I done that. Bondor, did you ever buy Bitcoin on Mt. Gox?
Nope. It was the same thing. Like how do you get it? Oh, through Mt. Gox. Why would I ever do that? That is like the most shady thing. I have to transfer money to Japan to buy Bitcoin. No, I'm not gonna do that.
Do you know what Mt. Gox was?
Yeah, the Magic the Gathering.
Magic the Gathering online. Oh yeah.
Which I could have my
Online
Mythlore.
exchange.
Yeah, I could have my Mythlore wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure the guy who presently runs Kraken, like he made that website. He made really? Magic the Gathering exchange, and then sold it to Carpals. Yeah. Now I could have my mythology wrong on that, but then sold to Carpals. Carpals turned it into a Bitcoin exchange. So
that is
I think I could be totally off on that, but yeah.
People getting into Bitcoin now don't know much of the lore, so it's probably worth telling people a little bit. There was a thing called Bitcoin faucets. People who had a lot of Bitcoin in the beginning literally had websites where you just clicked a button and it would give you 5 Bitcoin. Some of them were more. Some of them were like 25 Bitcoin, just for clicking a button, because they just wanted to distribute it to a bunch of people, and that's part of how Bitcoin got its value, by it getting.
I remember watching a YouTube video. I can't remember what year this was, but super early days, right? I remember watching a YouTube video of a guy doing the faucet. Like, it's like, okay, guys, here's how you do the whole faucet thing. Like, you like go to this web page and you got to have your wallet open. He just goes through the whole process, right? And he's like, and this is how like so now I've got a whole Bitcoin in my wallet, right? And it's just like, oh my God, dude, like you cannot find these videos again ever again because they've all been deleted, right? Because it's like, bro, you're just completely doxed $100,000, right? Like it's like, whoa.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a surprising amount of people who early days got a bunch of Bitcoin and they have so much value that they're just like, I need to disappear. People do not need to know that I have this.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty great. There were also Casascius coins. You remember those?
Yeah.
You could buy a physical coin that had a little peel off sticker on it that held, I think that some of the Casascius coins held 25 BTC, if I remember correctly.
No, there's a guy who had 100 the other day. I thought he just like transferred out.
Yeah, there's probably more than 25. Yeah, probably up to probably 1,000 actually.
Yeah, Coinbase got started earlier than I thought. Coinbase, I think, first started as a website in like 2015. So,
but it was no, it was
sounds about right.
It was earlier than that.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was. Yeah,
it's like 2012. It's like really, yeah, it was like really early.
But I mean, it was like a Y Combinator. Like nobody's heard of this thing until they exited the incubator. So
yeah,
but yeah.
There was a video that I watched. I remember I hadn't even thought about Bitcoin for a while. This is how early on I was thinking about Bitcoin. Some time went by, and then I saw a YouTube video. This was probably 2016, and this guy at a conference walks up to a Bitcoin ATM, and he puts $600 into the ATM to buy one Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I cannot believe I just spent $600 on a piece of paper. Like, what am I going to do with this? What was I thinking? Mm-hmm. And now that $600 is worth $117,000.
Yep. $117,000. Ridiculous.
Go
on.
Well, I was going to talk about when I first actually got into Bitcoin. It took me 2 weeks for Coinbase to recognize my driver's license. And I thought it was so strange that I had to take a picture of my own face and like a picture holding up my driver's license. It felt like something I would, share with a scammer and get my identity stolen or something. And for some reason, it wasn't able to read my driver's license. This is really low resolution picture that it took of it. I had to do it over and over and over again. I remember the price of Bitcoin went from somewhere around $900 to $1,000 before I could even get Coinbase to accept me to be able to buy any Bitcoin. Yeah, the price was $1,000 at the time, so it's gone up 100x since that happened.
Yeah. I remember. So I got in around the peak of the 2014 bubble. So I was just right. It basically just rode down to the bottom, and for me, like one of the biggest memories I had, because it was just however I'm like looking at the chart right now. I'm trying to figure out how long it was. That was so from November of December of 2013 to December of 2015. So 2 years of just straight down channel, right? Yeah. For me, it was like researching and figuring out. I was like, wait a second, this is all the dots line up, everything connects. This is gonna go way higher. And for 2 years, it was just going straight down, right? Everyone dismissed it like this is the whole thing. And this is important for you to hear, JD, because you're a newbie.
Your story sounds oddly familiar, but mine is more recent.
It was all downhill the whole time, right? For me, I will never forget. And I watched it religiously. Was learning how to trade. Was trading, like just doing all the things, right? For me, it was like everything was validated. The whole thesis was like, this is real. This is going to happen. Everything about it was real at that point when there was just a small like bubble that like went up to 500, touched 500 and crashed back down. I was like, it went up to 500. This thing is real. It's going to go up way higher than 500. And then like for me, like that was, I'll never forget. I was like sitting at my computer, like watching the whole thing, just like there's nothing else in the world that mattered. It just goes boop, and then it's just like I was done. I was like, this is it. I'm in.
At that time, Bondor,
the
were you doing trading and like technical analysis and that sort of thing? I feel like you were trading options or something. Like
super degen. No, I hadn't gotten into options yet. I was doing just straight degen trading. So shit coining, as it's known.
I never went through that. Maybe I'm just not wired to gamble. Like I never played poker or anything like that. So I never did any kind of trading at all. It's always just been straight dollar cost average for me.
Yeah, trading
is probably the best.
Trading, you can only do trading if you do it as a full-time job. Like, and even at that, some people can't do it. Like for me, I basically I made enough money to like support myself for a couple years like that. And it's like, I can't, I'm super thankful that like I was able to do that. Right. It like literally just enough money to support myself for a few years. Like that's it. Which is good. It's way better than getting wiped out, liquidated all the time, like so many traders actually do. But I'm certainly not, the upper echelons of traders who can actually like make substantial amounts of money trading. That is like, it's a total misnomer that people can just do that. It's so rare.
It seems like to me that most good traders are setting stop losses for themselves so they can't get wiped out, and they're incrementally making a little bit of money. And probably on average, a really good trader trading all the time, trading as a full-time job, sitting in front of a computer, just watching charts, is making $200 a day, somewhere around there. They're making just enough to live off of, but they can't take any huge swings because if you're doing it that way and setting stop losses, you can't take huge swings. So every once in a while, you're going to have a trade go really well, but most of your trades are just going to be little bitty profit, and you got to pay capital gains on all that trading as well.
Trading is just all problematic. I would just avoid. Like even with that, like no, it's really not even like you think like, oh, the stop loss strategy that'll work, but then you realize that the whole market is designed to just hunt for stop losses so that people get just always lose money on their stops. So then you don't put in your stops anymore, and then you actually start making money. But then there's the next thing. It's like, oh well, my targets. Then they'll never actually hit your targets, right? It's like you'll have a good idea for a good trade, but it'll never actually execute the exit of the trade, and then you'll just lose money. It just goes on and on. It's like not
the
even
second you understand that the market, like Wall Street, is just the largest legalized casino in the world. And by the way, Wall Street is the house. The second you realize that, there's no reason to trade. There's no reason to trade. The only reason you have to have money in the market is tax deferment. Period. There's literally no other reason to buy stocks or anything else like that, unless you just have like an affinity for Mickey Mouse or some other stuff. But there's literally no other reason to buy any stocks in any way, shape, or form. Outside of, you just want to invest in a person. Like, but because you're not going to beat inflation, you're not going to beat anything else. And so it's just stupid. It's just legalized gambling. And because there are talking heads on the news all the time talking about it, people have been lulled into this, false sense of this is a legit thing because just people don't shut the hell up about it. When in actuality, it's just literally a casino that just happens to be, the house is the Fed and the Fed is the government.
So I'm like looking at the price history, and I'm remembering like being in Los Angeles in 2016, 17, watching or being in Los Angeles 2017, watching the price climb up from 1,000 to 20,000, the 2017 bubble. Anton, I want to hear your stories on this, but for me personally, I explicitly remember like sitting in a bus, like on my way to a film set, like with my buddy who's the director, or I guess it probably depends on what shoot we were on, but he is a director. And I was sitting there like, bro, you gotta get on Bitcoin. And he like signed up for, like on the bus, signed up for Coinbase, put in $50 and bought $50 of Bitcoin. and I'll never forget like just sitting on the bus, like because I didn't have a car, or I had one car at that point. I don't know what it was, but I love buses. I just take buses, or I used to before COVID days. But yeah, just watching the price on the bus, like that is a quintessential Bitcoin memory for me.
I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say I love buses.
I love buses, dude. They're great.
What kind of buses?
I used to work. I mean, I literally wrote software for a company that like.
Are you talking about the city bus?
Yeah, city bus.
You like the city bus?
Yeah.
I thought everybody hated the bus. I like trains. Like trains feel very
trains are awesome.
Buses feel like punishment.
It depends. It certainly depends on the city or the bus. LA's buses are terrible, obviously, but like buses can be really great. Anyway,
when you were living in Korea, did you ever ride a bus there?
All the time. It was
Did they have like not city buses, but like traveling around buses?
Yeah, charter buses for everything. Yeah.
Did they have flight attendants on the buses?
I don't think so. We were in the country. We were not like in high class bus zones.
I did a bus in Vietnam once, and they had like, imagine what your imagination of like 1950s, 1960s airline stewardesses are, but they had those on the bus in Vietnam. Like super luxury bus, girl in like a crisp outfit with a little hat, like serving drinks. It was amazing. If buses were like that, I'd be in the buses. What year were you saying?
I imagine hell is just a Greyhound with no AC that never lets anybody off. It just keeps adding people to the bus. And the driver is always screaming at you to sit in your seat, but there's too many people. And they won't go anywhere until everybody has a seatbelt, but there's not enough seatbelts. That is what I imagine hell is actually like.
And the guy next to you is most likely a serial killer, and maybe has
these days, yeah,
his suitcase.
That or just has a really bad BO.
Yes,
or both, probably.
Or so both. that was 2017.
Okay. Yeah.
So Anton, what do you remember about the 2017 bubble?
Man, that was a wild year. Yeah, I remember Naval talking. I think it was that episode that he did with Tim Ferriss and Nick Szabo. I want to say it was in 2017. He talks about it being in a bubble. I looked up the date the other day, and the price was like $8,000 or $9,000 at that point. Yeah. So he was saying Bitcoin was in a bubble at $8,000 or $9,000. And I remember, I want to say that I finally was able to buy in like May or something. It was like, so, almost halfway through the year. That was when the price was at $1,000, and it ended the year in December at $19,000. So it went up 20x in only 6 months or something like that. And it crashed right afterwards. And I want to say that China had banned Bitcoin mining, which was sort of what people thought led to the crash. Mm-hmm. And it crashed from late December to mid-January from like 19,300 as an all-time high to about $3,800. And then it stayed in a certain range after that. And I remember my conviction had gotten so strong. Andreas Antonopoulos was kind of the guy at the time. He had come out with the Internet of Money based on all the talks that he had done between 2015 and 2017. I want to say that he went on Rogan around 2016. And I had become so convinced in the fundamentals, and I had just lost a bunch of money in a scam as well. Or I lost 0.27 Bitcoin in a scam, which is now about $33,000 worth of Bitcoin. And that I was like, I'm going to keep dollar cost averaging in. Even the price fell to 3,800. I'm like, this is a miracle. It was getting too expensive. Now I can buy some. And I remember when the price that year went from like $3,800 to $12,000, so Naval was saying was in a bubble at $8,000, $9,000, and it went to $12,000 a year later or so. That was higher than what he was saying was in a bubble. And people were acting like Bitcoin had crashed irreversibly.
Yeah.
Such a crazy time. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So then we got
up 10x since that time period.
Mm-hmm. So then we got 2018. It was all down year. And then it's like a descending triangle. And then it just completely fell off a cliff, shit the bed in 2019. let's see, November of 2018, it went from 6,000 to 3,000.
Yeah.
50% dip in 1 month.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very good.
But
I love
man,
that
if you were
dip. That's
dollar
so
cost
good.
averaging, I think because I got in at $1,000, even when the price fell from 6,000 to 3,000, psychologically to me, I'm like, I've still made 300%, even though I hadn't really, because I've been dollar cost averaging the whole time.
Yeah.
So people now are in a very different state of mind. If you bought in at $63,000 in 2020, and then it was $63,000 in 2025, I think this year it's been lower than that. You might have felt like you lost money over the last 5 years. So it gets a little bit harder psychologically to dollar cost average at these prices.
Yeah.
I think the thing though, for, and because I'm sorry, like my internet is going in and out while I'm driving. So hopefully it's not bad for everybody else, but for me, because I'm new, and for anybody else who's new and just kind of starting to look at this, the thought of getting to 1 Bitcoin is kind of like the goal, right? Like that's the goal for me, right? Is get to 1. And the way to kind of think about that though is actually dollar cost averaging, because if you think about it, if you don't have any money, right? There are only 21 million Bitcoin and there's like 65 million millionaires. And so it's just really, something to not get discouraged about. If you're just like, oh man, like I can't afford a Bitcoin. It's like, well, yeah, you probably can't afford a Bitcoin right now, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try. And it also doesn't mean you shouldn't, try to rebase your whole life. Because I think, stories from the high, and I guess for me is like I started aping in, at the beginning of this last cycle. And, this is the first time it's going up because I was losing money the whole way down, but I was still buying because I just like you, Steve, I had a lot of Bondor, I had a lot of conviction and understanding. And the whole point, and we were talking about this before the show, it's like people think that you're getting richer every day with Bitcoin, but no, you're actually staying the same. Like the whole thing about Bitcoin is you're like, and why people say get to 1, it's because the denominator, like Bitcoin is the denominator of your life. And that just basically means your wealth isn't evaporating. Like you get to choose, if I'm going to add value to somebody else's life, cool. I'm going to add Bitcoin to my treasury, to my account, to my wallet, or whatever it is. And I think that's some things, people miss a lot of times. Like, oh, like you made so much money, or you're making money in Bitcoin, or whatever it is. It's like, no, actually, I'm just not losing money. And I think that's a different like thought process. Is like my wealth has a floor, right? Whereas with fiat money, there is no floor because they can print infinite money, which means the floor is infinitely below you. And so I think that's one thing too, just to kind of say, as you guys keep going through this, if somebody's watching, like, don't get discouraged, because, that's the goal. Just get to 1, because there are not enough for everyone. And even then, like, as you start denominating your life in it, your wealth that has a floor, which is a cool thing.
Yeah. I mean, and then also like, just be cognizant of like what money is for, right? Like what's the money for, right? Looking back looking at the chart, I remember, so the rally from the bottom of January 2019 at 3,000 up to the top of June 2019 at 13,000. That entire time I was like not like stacking. I was like back at school learning how to program, because I was like, okay, like I was like, okay, degen trading is just degen trading, but it's ridiculous. And at that point, like the whole meme learn to code was like a meme, and I was like, yeah, I'll do that. That sounds good. That's right. So I went and learned to code. It's like, what's the money there for? Like, yeah, spend down some Bitcoin to like improve myself, to improve my ability to make money, improve my ability to add value to the world. Like it's like, this is the whole point, right? Anton, do you remember anything in 2019, 2020, 2021 era?
Yeah, I've probably talked about it before on this podcast that I read the book The Richest Man in Babylon, and one of the key concepts in that book is just to essentially give 10% of your money away, take 10% and invest it. And I had been looking around for years already trying to find what do you invest in? Like, what is the best thing? The best thing I could find was essentially rental real estate. And my own finances weren't good enough. I was living in Los Angeles. The houses were so expensive. I didn't qualify to buy rental real estate. You have to put 20% down to buy a property that you're going to go rent out to a tenant. And so the next best thing I could find was Bitcoin. And you could buy you could buy $5 of Bitcoin on Coinbase. And so I just made this decision to myself around 2017 that I was going to dollar cost average my meager little amount that I could put into Bitcoin. And so during that time period, I was dollar cost averaging. And you can look at this in Google search results. In 2017, the amount that people were searching for Bitcoin, I want to say, is higher than now. So people were really, really interested in it. And I remember during that time period in 2019, it was essentially a bull market, but nobody was talking about it. Everybody thought it was dead. You know, there used to be memes. There was a meme website that was like all the instances where the media has said that Bitcoin had died. And so some of the best times to be stacking, nobody was conscious of it and was stacking. So yeah, my memory of that time period was I was just utterly convicted. And also I was conscious of the fact that in the bear markets, people build stuff. It's the best time to build stuff. In fact, I wish that we would have been doing our podcast during the bear market.
Oh my gosh, that'd been such a smart idea. Whatever. All right, JD.
We're all mildly regarded. We're now entering the zone where you come into play. What are some of your first Bitcoin stories? Yeah, it's weird. I'm still new here. Or I guess I can't pretty soon I'm not gonna be able to say I'm new here. But I think the biggest story I have is just what I love about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the same thing as politics used to be for me. Like, I used to be very much about like, oh, if I could talk about this particular political topic or whatever it was with somebody, I knew I could get really quickly have a shorthand and like become fast friends with someone. Bitcoin is that thing for me now, where it's like if somebody truly is a Bitcoiner and understands that ethos, it is such a good filter for good people because you cannot be a Bitcoin maximalist and not have some mildly redeeming traits. I'm not gonna say everybody's a Bitcoin maximalist is perfect, but I'm gonna say like on the whole, the Bitcoin maximalist community has been the most awesome community of people to be with because they engage, they care, they want to actually like pay attention to stuff. And so to answer your question, like the story. Go ahead.
Story.
It's the I think the biggest thing is everything in life is about story. Everything is about story. And so I think what is so great about the Bitcoin community and what's been so great for me to kind of see is the whole time I started buying, because I started buying at like the last all-time high before this, and then just started riding it down, and I literally aped in because like, oh, I missed it. Like the second I saw it, and I aped in, and I wish I had DCA'd versus aped. But again, like it is what it is. But I aped in, but like my conviction and my resolve only got stronger. I have way less Bitcoin than I would have if I had been smart and DCA'd. So I don't think you missed the bus actually if you DCA, by the way. But I do think you should DCA a larger chunk than the smallest amount you can think of, because I do think we're about to have a parabolic move, especially if you see the M2 chart and you believe I ascribe a little bit to the M2 theory. But
it's been debunked.
I know, but I think now I'm rambling. So let me land the plane really fast with like a proper story with a conflict. I was very conflicted because I did ape in. I aped in, and I was like sick to my stomach because I just had family members like, "What the hell did you do? You're dumb," all that other stuff. And I kept telling myself, I was like, "Dude, what the hell did I do? I'm dumb." But the Bitcoin community was so powerful, and I found Bitcoin Twitter, and I found and then Nostr eventually, and just the amount of big brain people who can kind of like get in there and give you a lot of crap, rightfully so, because you do feel like a complete regard when you are doing anything and everything involving Bitcoin. But just how, as Hal Finney was saying, it's like it might just be good to get some if it catches on. Like just how much they have looked at every single angle of this really continued to further my resolve and my conviction. And no matter what anybody told me, they're like, "Oh, you're wrong." I was like, I know you can think I'm wrong and you might be right. But in the same way that I think believing in God is better than not believing in God, it's like I feel like the alternative is way worse than, if I'm wrong. Like if I'm right, the alternative is way worse to not have any Bitcoin than for me to have lost a little bit of fiat on this bet.
Well, you call it fiat, I call it pedo bucks. That's it.
Oh, pedo, yeah, cuck bucks.
Yeah. Pedo bucks.
Pedo cuck bucks. Yeah.
Speaking of, there's rumor that Jerome Powell.
Speaking of pedophiles,
he's about to resign.
I literally just saw that as I was leaving work today, and I was like, "This is wild." And I think honestly, if that if that does happen next week, I think Dr. Jeff's analysis of 440 is probably because that's his bullish, outlandish case is 440 by December. I think we get there. I think if Jerome Powell goes out and then we get that, if we get the 300-point cut that Bessent and Trump are calling for, like if Bessent becomes the next Fed chair and he does a 300 bip cut, I think we're over. I think we hit 200 by, September. We do a little bit of a pullback.
Maybe that's literally what the price action is all about right now. Just this insiders being like, bro, rates are going down, Bitcoin's going way up. So that's it.
I think, well, dude, you saw what they did on Bloomberg, right? Bloomberg terminals have just changed. Like, I think you're actually right. And honestly, I think you're right. I think somebody knows Jerome's going out. I didn't even think about this till a second, but Carl Menger posted his Bloomberg terminal, and they have changed, or I don't know if it was he, but he's the one who reposted it. But Bloomberg earlier this week on like Wednesday just went from doing Bitcoin as $100,000 to 0.1 M. And so it's 0.11 M now, or 7 M now. So, and for those who don't know, like it's point millions. So, it's $100,000 and 0.118 currently. And that means they anticipate this 0 turning into a 1 or a 2 or a 10 or a 15.
I mean, that could also
at $100 million, Bitcoin is at parity with gold.
Yeah, it could also, like, the unit bias there could just be baked into the code algorithm and how the numbers are displayed, but it might not.
Yeah, it could just be baked in, but at the same time, like, I don't know. There's got to be something on the back end that would make it do that, right? Like, you're right, but it's like, what triggered it? Because
on the back end,
what triggered it?
It's a huge, well, as a software developer, I can tell you, for every like front end display of numbers, you'll have like 4 or 5 digits that make sense to display, right? And then anything beyond that, if you want to display $100,000, the exact price of Bitcoin, well, that's 6 digits. So you want to concat it, which is to say,
well, but they're doing, sorry, I misspoke. Before, that's correct. So it was 3 with a K, and now they just moved the decimal. So it's like, what? I was like, because you could do 500K. That's still, but I guess if you're going to show a report to in my mind, it sounds like somebody at Bloomberg was talking with somebody at one of the other financial institutions, i.e. a bank, let's say JP Morgan, for instance. And they're like, hey, when we're going to boardrooms and we're trying to sell BlackRock's IBIT, we can't sell billions of dollars of IBIT if they see 100,000, if they see a K here, they need to see an M. So they need to be seeing M's if we're trying to get them to spend M's or spend B's, basically.
Like for a product like a Bloomberg terminal, like that they have all of that dialed in to they can just
they're the house.
Yeah,
they're the house.
All right.
Bloomberg is part of the house. There's a software stack. Anyways, now we've gone off track.
So for looking back at the price history of Bitcoin, we have the Anton, do you remember? So there's the double hump between April of 2021 and November of 2021. That was all FTX, right? Like, and then the subsequent crash was when FTX was just liquidated.
Yeah, I think right after the all-time high around like 63,000, which would have been 2020 or 2021.
Yeah, I want to say one thing about this. I really have a soft thank you, Sam. If you had not fucked everything up for everyone, I would not have as much Bitcoin as I have. So thank you for totally stopping the previous rise, because I am way closer to getting to where I'm trying to go because of you. So thank you, Sam. I do hope you rot in hell, but thank you.
I definitely have the opposite, or not the opposite, but like I'm way more in the I'm way more in the like rotten hell camp. Like you've wasted so many people's time and effort. Like
I do feel bad that he scammed people. So I got to say,
absolute
sorry for scamming
to
people.
all of civilization, right? But Anton, do you remember anything from the double hump era?
Yeah, I mean, altcoins pumped like crazy during that time period, and somehow things like crypto.com still exist, and people in general don't know the difference between Bitcoin and 10,000 other complete scams that should not exist and do nothing. And that is literally every single thing that you call crypto is a complete scam. The only one that needs to exist is Bitcoin. And somehow, I was just looking at this because we were making jokes about XRP, which is Ripple. I thought XRP was in the toilet. I didn't know that it went up 400% in a year, and Bitcoin's only up 150% or something like that. So technically, if you bought XRP a year ago and sold it today, you made more money than if you had bought Bitcoin. XRP is a scam. They're all scams. It completely is a fiction that should not exist, and it will have an 85% to a 98% correction at some point. So during that time period, you had people like Larry David doing commercials for FTX. What's the football player?
God, yeah. Ridiculous.
Matt Damon did too.
Matt Damon. And that was, we can say now, that was a complete scam put together by a bunch of
fraudulent, completely fraudulent scam.
Yeah.
Technical, criminal fraud.
And all of these other altcoins are the same thing. They just haven't collapsed yet, and they will.
Yeah.
So as frustrating as that time period was, we're still in it. It's still going on.
Yep. Well, I mean, yeah, I definitely remember. Like for me, I think that period was the most like brain dead in terms of all the shit coins. It was a constant barrage of like, yo, are you exposed to Sol? Are you in the ETH? Like, what's the latest? Like, how do I do the DeFi? Like, I've got this thing locked up. I'm going to like just on repeat, right? Just unbelievable on repeat. It's like, bro, how many times can I tell you? You guys are exposing you like a crazy amount of money to people who are going to steal it from you. Like literally, I mean, just so many stories of people being like, "Oh, go on."
Talking to a shitcoiner today, same thing. Just to say, but it's like the lack of awareness around it. It's like, oh, but I'm gonna make. Yeah. It's like, well, but I'm making money. And it's like, until you're not. And I was like, and I think that's the thing is like everybody's like, I'm making money, and I think the irony of the whole making money thing is, everything is making you money except for Bitcoin. And the unpacking of that is like, if you really want to think through this, Bitcoin is the only thing that is hoovering up value. Everything else is just printing it. And until you fully grasp that, that's the thing that made me grasp it and be like, that's the correct thing to do. Also, fun thing, if you want to go talk to Grok, I talked to Grok for like an hour the other day about crypto and kind of went through the whole rabbit hole. But I was asking Grok, and I was like, if you were to take your guardrails off as much as you can and go through it, like, which of the cryptos is the best crypto for you as an AI, and in the future that's coming that you know as an AI that's trying to be built? Like, what is the crypto that we should be using? Like, Bitcoin. The only reason too is because of what I just said. Is Bitcoin as an AI, it is the only verifiably distributed and unfutzable ledger. And as an AI, if I want to pay another AI to do something for me and have it transmit value over the internet instantaneously, and be able to verify that, the thing that I'm paying it for, is being paid for in something that's actually of value, Bitcoin is the only way we can do that. And I'm like, if this, like, Bitcoin is the only thing that is protecting your money. Everything else is printing away.
Is the only lose him?
Yeah, JD, we're losing you. Bitcoin right now has 64% dominance.
Yeah,
there are 100,000 cryptos, and the majority of them, if they're operating at all, are running off of a single computer.
Unbelievable. Just Bitcoin. AWS. It's not even one computer. It's many computers. It's literally just AWS, right?
Yeah, it's running in the cloud.
Absurd.
There's nothing that is going to it's funny because I don't want to say out loud there's nothing that's going to catch up with Bitcoin, because they are nothing.
Correct.
They're not a thing. So there is nothing to even catch up with Bitcoin. It's only Bitcoin.
Wow.
And Bitcoin is going to $1 million. I don't know when. I can't say when that's going to happen, but this is the thing that's very hard logically to wrap your mind around. Bitcoin could go to $100,000, and the value of what Bitcoin buys you could possibly not change, because the US dollar could be devalued so much that $1 million buys you what $100,000 buys you now, because dollars are infinite. They're always being printed. They will always be printed forever. Bitcoin's not only 21 million. It not only has a certain schedule of how it will be distributed, which is cut in half by the halving every 4 years, and will essentially in like 2140, I think, there will be no more to be mined. But not only that, a lot of Bitcoin is locked up or has been lost by wallets that have been deleted or seed words that have been lost. So the number is actually decreasing. Yep. Dollars inflate forever. Bitcoin literally decreases and cannot ever be increased.
So I think this is fascinating. Looking at the dominance chart that you just mentioned. So prior to 2017, like January 2017, Bitcoin dominance was just at 90%, like basically just a flat 90%. January 2017, the ICOs start coming on the market. People realize they can just print money and like sell it and make millions and millions of dollars, right? Bitcoin dominance, it just like craters, right? As these ICO, because nobody knows that they're scams, right? Everyone's just thinking they're just going to make the most amount of money they've ever seen in their lives. So just craters. And then it's for 4 years, it's just up and down. And like, there's no pattern or signal. And then here's the thing for everybody out there who doubts about it, as humanity has started to digest, like the collective consciousness now knows that ICOs are a scam, that shitcoins exist, that you're going to lose your money, that, hey, yeah, I know a guy. Yeah. He put $20,000 into FTX and lost all of it because he said he trusted SBF. Right. And you're just like, that doesn't work anymore. You can't do that and people not laugh at you. Right. Mm-hmm. We know that these are scams now. Everybody knows that everybody knows, right? The standard game theory thing. Okay. So for the last 4 years, we have exited, like we're in this crazy zone, And now Bitcoin dominance has exited the crazy zone. Everyone knows that everyone knows. There's a clear delineation. And it's just from that point forward, it's just a steady regaining dominance from 40 to now 64%. And that's just good. That's like just going straight up, right? Straight line. It's going to keep going straight up because everyone knows that it's all just a game. There might be like, you like this chart, to be honest with this chart would have to now adjust for the new shitcoin, which is just the treasury companies, which is just the new shitcoin, right? But dominance chart doesn't see that, so we'll see.
The other thing that's going up is hash power.
Yeah,
a thing that doesn't really get talked about because most people don't really know what it is. And to be honest, I don't fully understand it. I think it's just that essentially the amount of people in the world who are competing to get some of the remaining Bitcoin, they put more and more energy into the network and the hash power goes up. So Bitcoin is literally physically growing as time goes on. And as it grows, the more hash power that it has, the more the network is strengthened. I mean, I remember when we were getting into Bitcoin, when I was getting into Bitcoin, this was like 2017, there was still talk about the possibility that Bitcoin could fail. It could be shut down. If the US, which was, basically the biggest market for Bitcoin, were to just outlaw it or ban it, it was possible that Bitcoin could die at that point because people would have there'd be no reason to put the physical resources of buying ASICs or the energy into mining it, and essentially the network would just die. And nobody talks about that anymore. It's just not a thing anymore. It's so big, it's so distributed across the entire planet that with the only thing that could make it die is like an all-out nuclear apocalypse if everybody started bombing each other. And
then we got some way bigger problems than whether or not Bitcoin survives.
Exactly.
Yeah, the total hash rate graph is fascinating. It's just whoop, another like just straight up and to the right.
Yep, and up and to the right, which is the same place that the price is going. Right, guys?
Yeah. Is it? Not financial advice. The thing about the hash rate that's fascinating, of course, is that like it's indicative of actual physical hardware that it continues to go up into the right on a log scale. So this is exponential and or logarithmic log growth or power law growth, right? Which is to say, they went from hashing on their computers, like to just give you an idea of how big of a thing Bitcoin is. They went from just running the software on their random laptop to running the software on their ASIC miners to like ASIC miners that are like not efficient, right? They're just the first ASIC miner to like the next generation, to you can't really even run an ASIC miner or like a GPU miner. Like you can't even really run these things at your home anymore because the cost of electricity and blah, 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 to like, okay, well, we're going to do it in a warehouse. We're going to do it close to a power plant, like, right? And that has just continued to grow at a power law rate, even to today. So like they're still adding crazy amounts of hash power to this thing. And, the first ASIC came out, I don't know when that, do you remember when that was? It's gotta be like 13 or 14, something like that.
Yeah, it was early on.
I think it was 2013.
Yeah, okay. First ASIC comes out, right? 2013. Total hash rate, and these numbers are going to be meaningless to anybody who doesn't know what the F they mean, but I'm not going to try and explain it either. Let's say total hash rate was 10 terahashes before they came out. In short order, it went to 1,000, then 100,000. Then by the peak in 2017, it was at 10 million. And today, it's just crossing over 1 billion, right? We went from 1,000 to a billion. Like, that is a lot of order of magnitudes. And nobody can process orders of magnitude. Jumping from 1 to 10 is an order of magnitude. Jumping from 1 to 100, that's 2 orders of magnitude. The human mind isn't set up to process like that, right? You really actually have to see the difference between 1 and 1,000. You can't just look at the numbers. The difference between 1 and a billion, like actual, like here's one item and here's a billion items, is incomprehensibly large. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy to think also, you don't even know where these miners are or these mining facilities are. You don't know what countries that they're in. And the only thing I could even compare it to is like, and I don't even understand how this works, but something like Visa. They need their own, towers full of servers to run that thing. But that's one company that controls it all. Bitcoin is just distributed all over the globe, all these people competing against each other. And we don't know who they are, and it doesn't matter. We don't have to know who they are. And you could have an entire country ban Bitcoin tomorrow and shut down, and it completely doesn't affect the market at all, because it is decentralized and distributed so thoroughly that none of that affects it anymore. There's just such a beauty to that.
Yep.
I don't even know what to relate it to. Like, what in our lifetime can we even relate it to? It's new.
I think the thing you can relate it to is ideas, right? And I think like perfect example would be Tiananmen Square, right? When Tiananmen Square happened, the CCP squashed all images and everything of it, and they basically tried to hide it. And it's the same thing with, the Cambodian genocide and all these different genocides that have happened all over the world. Is when you hide something, when you hide an idea, it makes the idea stickier. And so I think actually the best thing for Bitcoin would be for more countries to ban it and outlaw it, because perfect example is Metaplanet. Metaplanet is doing so well, and kudos to Dylan LeClaire and that team over there, because Bitcoin has a 55% tax in Japan, but you can buy Metaplanet, which is a stock that is putting Bitcoin on their books at a clip that nobody else can touch in Japan, that it's just creating an asymmetric trade, because people want to, only spend 20% versus 55%, because they're stifling this idea, they're stifling the innovation. And so, I think when people try to put a lid on something, it actually shines a light. It's the Streisand effect. And so, I'm actually excited for more people to be hostile to Bitcoin, because it's just good for Bitcoin.
Yeah, I agree on the Streisand effect. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, the more people hate it, the more people want to figure out what it is.
Yep. Yeah, guys, I think that takes us through the stories of times past. Anton, is there any other final words you got on here?
I'm getting sunburned so bad that my brain is getting roasted right now. But this was a fun one. It's fun, especially it's a Friday, and there's a little freewheeling, just telling some stories. So yeah, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to buy Bitcoin at the all-time high. It's always a good time.
It's a great time.
Because
it's just going to be cheaper and cheaper and cheaper after that,
Right.
And just going to get more and more. It's good to go. JD, last thoughts.
You understand Bitcoin at the price you deserve. Because everybody says you get Bitcoin, but I want to change the word get to understand, because I don't think you can have Bitcoin, but until you understand Bitcoin, you actually don't have Bitcoin. If you have Bitcoin, but you don't really understand it, you have an asset. You don't have Bitcoin. You have a stock. And so I think you understand Bitcoin at the price you deserve. And that price is whatever price you decide to dive in and actually learn about it.
Yeah. I think for me, final word is just don't underestimate Bitcoin. It is so much bigger and so much more powerful than your preconceived notions about it. Even my own. It's crazy. Absolute bonkers. All right. With that, out of here, guys. Peace. Have a good one. Drive safe, JD. Thanks for tuning in to Better by Bitcoin. Bitcoin makes everything better. Like, subscribe, and follow us on X at BetterBYBTC, YouTube at BetterBYBitcoin. Not financial advice, mathematical certainty.